These are my son Seth's wrestling shoes. 2025 season, 7th place at state. Rather than have these shoes sit in the closet and just collect dust, eventually get thrown away or worn holes in, wearing them in practice in subsequent seasons, I thought this is a much better way to kind of commemorate the event. We used a CNC to build this cutout area, glass here, built the entire thing out of cherry. Let's get right into this build and see how to do it. So in order to build this item, I'm gonna pre-cut all the boards. You don't need to watch me cut boards. There's nothing exciting about that. We're gonna call it the name board. It's going to be 8 inches by 13 inches. So 8 inches, 13 inches. So the entire cabinet is gonna be 13 inches tall plus the thickness of the top and bottom, which will bring us to 19 and a half. Or sorry, 14 and a half. It's hot out today. So that's that piece. So let's go to the top and bottom, because these are the widest pieces that we're gonna have aside from that piece I just showed you. So the top and bottom are gonna be identical. So there's 2 of them. Everything's 3/4 thick. The top and bottom, I made them 5 7/8 wide. The reason I did that was so this is your top and bottom, 5 7/8 wide and 20 inches long. Now I'm going to give you some justification as to why I sized everything else what I did. Sides. You have 2 sides. They're going to go out on the ends, obviously, and 13 inches tall, just like that front piece that's going to go right here. The width of it, I made 5 5/8. So that is a 1/4 inch different from the top and bottom. And my intentions on that were, I'm gonna inset this side and do a round over. Just a 1/4 inch round over on the front, side, and just to trim it out a little bit. So I wanted to bring the sides in just a little bit, leave a little space in front to do that round over on the top and bottom. So that's a 1/4 inch difference. You could build it different if you wanted to. That's just what I wanted to do. So that made, because I was at 5 7/8 for the top and bottom, I'm at 5 5/8 for the sides. The last piece I have is the divider. The divider is going to be, so again, this is that front piece with the name on it. The divider is going to sit right here beside this. The divider is a 1/4 inch less than the sides. The reason for that is I wanted the divider to come out the same distance as the sides, but I wanted a small gap in the back. And what that gap is for a piece of 1/4 inch plywood to go across the entire back, seal both areas up. That's kind of my rhyme and reason. So if you were making this and wanted to adjust the widths, just take into account the divider needs to be probably, if you use a 1/4 inch plywood for the back, a 1/4 inch less. You can use an 1/8 inch plywood, but I'm using 1/4. And so it has to be a 1/4 inch less than the sides. And then you determine what kind of overhang you want in your top and bottom and what kind of profile you want to put, if you want to do a round over or do some kind of OG or something like that, a cove, however you want to do it. You can decide how much wider you need the top and bottom to be than the sides according to whatever it is you're going to cut. So that is the rhyme and reason to my sizes. I'm roasting here right now. I need to get that fan back on, but I know you can't hear me if I have it on. So the next step I have is I'm going to sand everything, and then I got to take the name board and cut it out what I need to on that before I start assembling. All right, so sitting here sanding, and the more I sand this board I glued up, the more I hate it. There is a visible line right where that glue joint is. Now, I've glued tons of things over the years. I mean, I was a shop teacher for 18 years. I've seen every kind of glue up you can imagine. This is one of the worst, and I thought I had the color matched. As I was sanding, I kind of came up with a theory. Now, one characteristic of cherry is, as it sets, it starts to darken. And that line is darker than either piece beside it. And that's why it's making it stand out so much. And I happen to think as I'm sanding these, and the wood is lightening because I'm sanding through that top layer, that I hadn't machined that edge in quite a while. They've been sitting here in my shop. I've had these boards, man, I was still teaching. I might have had these boards for 10 years now. And, you know, I just planed these, but I never sanded these edges. I don't typically sand an edge you're going to glue because it can leave gaps. So I think what I need to do is just pre-cut a new cut on that edge where we're going to join these together. Just a thin, just take some sawdust off basically, and then glue up a new piece. Now I've cut two pieces out of the same board, and like when I glued these up, I don't know for sure if they came out of the same board. I was avoiding some knots. I was cutting around. This is kind of some knotty cherry. It was like a little bit lower grade when we had bought it. So the coloring on this is very similar. I mean, these pieces were, I think they were like that. So I thought, well, let's get something that I know is from the same board and adjacent pieces out of the same board. And then let's just glue it together. But before we do, I'm going to cut these edges just lightly enough to get that dark edge out of there and see if it fixes it. So I'm going to make a second glue up, and I'm just going to decide which one's better. So I just wanted to take you along with that, show you kind of the mistake I made and maybe the revelation I made. Time will tell. This is the second piece. Both sides are 100 times better. We'll go side by side here. You can see there, it's hard to tell where the glue joint is on this one. I'll flip it. Same thing over here. Color matched up really well, partially because it was out of the same board, but I really think that trimming just that little strip off got rid of the real dark line that you see in that one. As you can see, this one, really not there. Very happy with this. This is going to go into the find a new project pile. So I need to get on the computer, design what's going to say, and cut it out so that I can get on to the rest of the assembly. So we'll see you at the CNC. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this away. And the problem with just cutting it away is it can kind of, the cutaway part is going to be the same color as everything else. One solution to that is to put a mask on here and then just spray paint what gets cut. What I've used this numerous times. It works great. The product is called Oracal 651, and I'll put a link down in the description on where you can get that. This is the one that's worked the best. I've seen other people use, I forget what the number is. It's a blue product made by the same company, and I have not had as much luck with that. I've had problems with it sticking on, especially when you're cutting words. So this is the one I've had the most success with, and so that's what we're going to use. And then this is not going to completely cover, but what I can do is I can just put masking tape over this side and this side. That way I don't waste this stuff, because I mean, it's not cheap. I think it's like $15 or $20 a roll. It's very sticky. You gotta make sure you know where you want it to go before you stick it down. Lay this on here about a ½ an inch from the top. I like to work as many of the bubbles out as I can before the whole thing's stuck. You can work the bubbles out to the edge as you go. Going to hit this. Now I want to hit it from all different angles. I'm using a semi-gloss black. Was actually preferring a satin, but this is all I had. And what'll end up happening, I'll probably do a few coats, because one coat you always miss something. And then I'll do this a few times. Won't show you all that, but You get the idea? And then we'll peel that mask off and that piece will be ready and we'll start assembling. So I let this dry overnight. I just double checked everything. Looks like it's covered really well. I ended up putting about 4 coats on. I just went different angles each time, let it dry in between. But I want to let this dry real good after you're done before you peel this off, because if you don't, you can end up getting paint on your fingers and then that sometimes transfers to the wood. So this stuff just peels off. Take the tape off first. Peels off just like this. And then you usually have to kind of work at peeling it off. In between the letters, it sticks. It's actually kind of satisfying and to peel these off. I don't know why. For getting in between the letters, just so you know, I found that just running a razor blade at a really low angle a lot of times does the trick, and it peels things right off. If for some reason this thing bleeds underneath, which this Orcal product, I rarely have that as an issue, but if it does, I can always just come in and sand everything real quick. Now I got to make a groove to accept this glass. Now, this is a little unorthodox, okay? So I have my 2 sides. I'm gonna make a groove about a 1/4 inch in from the front on those. I'll also have to do the same thing with the divider. 1/4 inch from the front. Typically, you would want also a groove down in the bottom and up in the top, all to accept this piece of glass. I am not doing that. The glass is just gonna rest on the bottom and the top. If there's a minor gap, not a big deal. This is the second one of these I made. The first one I made 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I don't even know what it was now. It is still 100% fine. There's no issues with the glass. It's been in multiple different environments, different rooms in our house. It's currently stored in a non-climate controlled garage. So I have no problems with building it like this. My main concern when I did that was it not looking right. It should be down in a groove. Which I would do, except for I don't want to run a groove the whole way out the end of the board, and I don't have a great way to stop it accurately. So I'm just going to do it like that. So what I'm doing is, this is called a dado cut. All I'm using is the blade width. We're going to get some single strength glass, which is an 1/8 inch, just slightly under an 1/8 inch thick. My blade is an 1/8 inch wide. So what I want to do is I want to cut this. I think we're going to do a 1/4 from the front. So that's good. Now the height. So I'm going to go halfway into the board. And so that is going to be 3/8. Now I can't run a guard here. It wouldn't fit the way I'm doing this. So this is something to use caution with always. I am going to use a push stick. Keep my hands away from the blade. And if you don't know how to do this, please don't operate a table saw. I need another groove, and it's going to be only on the sides, and it's going to be back here. It's going to come in a 1/4 inch off the back, and it's going to accept the back. Same blade height. Could do this on a tabletop router. I'm at least going to make the first pass right here because it's just going to be easier. I'll make the same type of groove, but we want to end up cutting it the whole way out to the end. I'll show you how to do that. All right, I'm going to do this round over first. This is going to be on the top and bottom along the 3 edges, not the rear edge of the top and bottom. And it's just going to put a little 1/4 round on it. All right, I'm gonna change this bit out so that I can finish off this cut. We'll bring it out the whole way to the end, and we'll be ready to assemble. All the cuts will be done. All right, I got a rabbet bit on here. Basically, it just creates a notch, also known as a rabbet. Not like the bunny rabbit type, but I'm gonna just run this through. So you can see, right there it is. The back will rest in there. The glass will rest in there. All right, so before I get started on this, I'm gonna take a little bit of planning. How this is gonna go together, we have this. I can go pocket holes on the back side of here. I'm just gonna draw this in pencil so that I know where I want these holes. I got 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top. So this will never be seen. It's gonna be completely enclosed. So I have no problem doing that. Obviously you don't want to use pocket holes when you can see them. I know it's not like the artistic way to do things, but to be completely honest, like let's say this is my top. There's only a couple ways to do this. One is getting an angled bracket. Another is dowels. Getting them lined up can be a pain in the butt and pointless because again, you can't see these. Another way would be to countersink a hole, send a screw down in, and then plug that hole with a dowel. I personally hate that look. It's old-fashioned. You can always tell where the plugs are, or almost always tell. This pocket hole, sometimes it's the best use. I know there's a lot of people that hate on them, but sometimes it honestly is the best use. So, again, we have a center divider with the glass on it. This center divider is going to butt up it's going to be like this. The pocket holes for this can go on the inside of here. Never going to see it. So I'm going to mark 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's taken care of. Now, to go along with that, we have this piece, which goes over here. Never going to be seen on the inside. So I can do, again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom. So now, literally the only risk of you seeing a pocket hole is on this part that has the glass. Now, there's going to be shoes in here. So it's going to be very difficult to see the joinery. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to back them off the front edge so that the likelihood of them being seen is extremely low because the shoe will be in the way. So, and I'll come back here and do the same up here. Again, I've built one of these already. I did it exactly like this. No issues at all. So I'm just back from that glass groove, maybe 1.5 inches or so. This will hide everything. So I'm gonna go ahead and drill these and get this fan turned on because I am sweating through my shirt. It is stinking hot today and it is only 10:30 in the morning. We are sitting at, it says 85. I'm not buying it. Feels like 98. Now, I want to say one thing about pocket holes here. I'm using this portable pocket hole setup. It is not ideal. I have a bench mounted one mounted to a bench still in my Ohio shop, which is not getting used at all. So I really need to bring that down because honestly, this has its purpose, but to use it like this, it kind of sucks. I'm not gonna lie. I will put a link for both in the description because, like I said, there are times, especially if you're out on a job site, this could come in really handy. To use it as your primary way to do pocket holes, not the most ideal. The clamp is awkward. So I'm gonna finish these up. You get the idea. All right, we're gonna, I made some marks and clamped this so it doesn't move. So that's basically what you do. Now I'm gonna work from the other end this way. All right, so it's assembled. It does not have the top on yet. The top will go here. I got the piece of glass cut. I don't wanna put finish on this without with the glass in it. So I'm gonna put finish on it now, then slide the piece of glass in and then put the last 4 screws in. So what I'm gonna use is just a brush on polyacrylic. Got the whole coat done. A little tricky around the letters because as you run a brush over something like that, it tends to like want to puddle down in. Got them cleaned up pretty good. I've done stuff like this before. This stuff dries clear. If it's a little puddled down the bottom, never gonna see it. Ideally, when you cut stuff out, you could just spray it, but I didn't have any spray on me, and the cans go bad so fast. I hate buying it. So I think this will be just fine. I do need to do the top yet. I'll do that quick, but just to let you know, in between coats, we're just gonna hit it with some light sandpaper, then put another coat on. You know, something like 220, just hand sand it, just to knock the bumps off. And we'll put a couple coats on and then it'll be done. I'm ready to attach this top and then put the back on. Now in a lot of situations, I would want to route out a groove for the back on the top piece and on the bottom piece. On this one, I decided it wasn't really all that necessary. The span between here and here is very small. Same thing here to here. So it's gonna be supported by this middle piece, supported by the rabbet here, supported by the rabbet here. That's a decent amount of support in and of itself. The other thing though is, I mean, this isn't gonna get touched or moved very much. Once I put the shoes in here, it's gonna set on a shelf. So it's not like this back is gonna get pushed off. You aren't gonna be able to see it because the shoes are gonna cover up anything. So like, even if there were a minor gap, you're never gonna see it. So I decided, rather than try to hassle with making a groove that gets a nice exact stop point at each point here, I thought it's not worth that hassle, and let's just attach the back with what we already have. If it were something where it was like the back of a cabinet, completely different, I would definitely want a groove in the top and the bottom. Yeah, like I said, you're never gonna see it, so I'm not all that worried about it. So keep that in mind. If you were making something, you may want to not do that. It's kind of up to you on what you want to do. One thing of note, I almost made this mistake. Don't forget to put the glass in before you start screwing this top on, or you're going to take it right apart again. This is something's a little out of square over here, so I'm gonna work this way. I need to draw this in a little bit. It flares out a little bit. This one's gonna be hard to get to. As for this, I'm just gonna double check squareness. This shouldn't be able to be even changed because the front piece is kind of holding it in place and it looks good. So we're going to tack this down. Now we just got this end, so I'm gonna just draw it back. You can see my pencil marks down there. I'm just gonna draw it to it here. There we go, it's coming in. So we wanna be about right there. So I'm gonna tighten this. Gotta be a little careful here so I don't break the glass. It's really close to the mark. So we'll get the back cut. We'll throw the shoes in there. Technically, I wouldn't have to put a back over this part. It could just be open. I have enough wood, I'll just do it. I don't know. Keeps the dust out of there. All right, before I actually attach this back, there wasn't any cherry plywood where I got this, and so it's not gonna match. Now you can't really see it that much when there's shoes in there, but you can still kind of see it. I'm just gonna paint it black so it just is a not noticeable background. His shoes that he's putting in there are white. So the other thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually write a personalized note on the actual back of the case. So I'm gonna leave the one side as is. And all I have is spray paint. So I'm just gonna use spray paint and it shouldn't be a big deal. So we'll hit this real quick. Let it dry. Might take a second coat, just coverage wise. As this dries, it might show a little bit of the wood through, so I'm trying to avoid that. All right, last step is to put the cover on, or the back on. You see I have the shoes in here. I could have made this a little bit shorter. My older son had a little bit bigger shoe size, so it filled the top a little bit further. So this is 13. I probably could have gotten away with maybe 11, and he wears a size, these are size 10. So I think my other son was a size 12. So as for depth, it's perfect. Now, if you were doing a basketball shoe or something, it might be a little different. Wrestling shoes, they're a little more flexible, not as bulky. Track shoes would probably be even smaller, so keep that in mind. But wrote a little note on here on the back for him. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to screw the back on. And the reason I'm going to do that is because if he ever wants to remove this, it's better than just having to pry nails out, I felt. So I'm going to pre-drill some holes, making sure I hit the wood on the Rabbet. And then that's really all there is to it. I'm gonna put one at the top on each corner, and then probably 2 or 3 maybe here. I'm just using like a 3/8 or 3/4 inch long screw. So there it is. It's a great way to display things. I think it turned out really well. Got the personalized message on the back for him. I brought my son Seth in to check it out for the first time. Here we go.
Looks nice. Looks nice. I've been waiting for this.
Yep.
Yeah. Is it dry? I touch it?
It's dry and ready to go to your bedroom.
Sweet.
Got a little personalized note on the back for you.
Awesome. I'll have to read
So,
that. Yeah.
That's all there is to it. If you want to see more videos of cool builds like this, check out the next screen.